Dump the Scales campaign is all around making sure that every single person affected by an eating disorder can get the right support. It's about making sure that people know that full recovery is possible, and it's about making sure that we're properly investing into services and treatment as well.
So I'm here to march as part of the Dump the Scales campaign. I'm bringing my lived experience and my experience with an eating disorder and the world of sport, just to use my voice, use my platform to raise awareness and urge the government to take this very important cause a lot more seriously.
Ho ho! Dump the scales, they've got to go! Ho ho! Dump the scales, they've got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! Dump the scales, they've got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! Dump the scales, they've got to go!
One of the things that I love about days like today is when you have an eating disorder, you spend so much of your life feeling like there's something wrong with you. You feel like you're difficult, you feel like you're complex, you feel like you're never going to get better. And having days like this where you bring together people who really get it, people who understand it, people who are affected by it, you feel like you've got all these individuals fighting for your corner, which I just love that. And I think for me, I'm also hopeful that having days like this and marches and bringing people together again puts more pressure on the government to properly act and invest into treatment.
I think the government needs to come up with proper plans on how to process people who are suffering in the community, because as it stands now, there's just not enough services and there's just not enough resource in the whole space. And so what ends up happening is people end up suffering in silence, being left in the lurch. And we really need to get on top of it.
What I want the government to do is to properly commit to developing a strategy to tackle the epidemic of eating disorders, and within that strategy to include a commitment to funding both children and adult services. It's about, in that strategy, making sure that people can get help no matter what size or shape they are, no matter what age they are, no matter what their gender, their race, their ethnicity, and then also to look more at public health. So how can we make sure that we're preventing people kind of escalating and developing full-blown eating disorders?
I think so much around eating disorders is focused on the weight of a person or the look of a person, and really it's a mental health disorder, and it doesn't discriminate. So they really need to start to recognise and acknowledge the diversity of it all.
So at the moment with eating disorders, we have very limited treatments that are properly working for individuals. So I want research to be focusing on the treatments that we can offer to individuals so that they can make that full recovery. And then within that as well, looking at the biology behind an individual who develops an eating disorder, again, so we can really equip people to have that better chance of recovery, but also so that further down the line we can start to screen people for eating disorders, identify people who maybe are at a higher risk, and then get in there early to protect them.
I'm particularly passionate about underrepresented community groups. So for example, depending on your age, ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, gender, if you're physically disabled, if you're neurodiverse, these sorts of groups or at least their attributes which aren't fully considered, it'll be nice to have more research and more funding in those particular areas, because right now it seems to all kind of be one-dimensional.
So what you can do to get involved is to sign the petition, the Dump the Scales petition. You can also write to your local MP if you've had your own lived experience of an eating disorder, but also just keep talking about this to make sure that we're creating a movement and momentum after the event today, so that the government and society can really understand what eating disorders are, and to also realise that people can get better with the right support and treatment.